it's day one, and still, continuing with it. So we get in the airport, and next thing we need to do is get the car that I made arrangements for back in 3 or 4 weeks ago for a midsize. Uh, so San Diego, we just look for the signs that said to the rental cars, and so we found it, and we got on the shuttle, and it took us to the rental cars. And as we were going, the drive there was, I don't know, it was a little bit of a drive. I would say maybe a couple miles. At least it seemed like it, and probably less, but it seemed like it. And as we go on the drive down, it's kind of weird. Is it's that they opened up these security gates and with barbed wire on both sides, and it looked like we were entering or leaving a maximum security jail. But it's because it's right next to the airport, and they just want to make sure that no weird terrorists come into the place and blow everything up. All right, they'd cut themselves to death on these barbed wires. So we got to the rental car, and the place I rented from was called 6T, SIXT. And I didn't know if it was SIXT or SIXT or whatever. I didn't know how to say it. But anyway, it didn't matter. And I know what to look for, sort of the orange logo, so I went to it, and I got there, and had to wait for a little bit, and then I got called up by the fella, and I looked at my reservation, and it said that, we're going to pick up the car at 6, and I go, geez, it's like noon, okay? And the guy goes, oh, sorry, we have all our cars are booked, and I can't help you. And I go, come on, there's got to be something. He goes, well, I go, when's the earliest I can go back? Well, you can come back by 5. And I go, man, I think to myself, I don't know what to do. To 5, what we do, get an Uber, drive to San Diego? I guess we could. We're tired. We kind of want to go be able to lie down at the hotel. It's at this point, we already had one snafu with the ticket. Now we're starting to think, oh my gosh, it's going to be this kind of things all along the way. And the guy's looking, and he's a real nice guy. He's not arguing with me. I'm arguing more with my own head. And he says, yeah, well, how about SUV? And I go, oh man, I don't want to drive an SUV in California. Gosh, the gas prices are $4.50. Where we're from, they're in the high mid twos, and hardly over 3 anywhere. And so I don't want to do that. Okay. And then finally I'm going, oh, okay, tell me what's the deal. He goes, well, here's the deal. I can get it for you pay $200 down and then $220. And I go, oh, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So it's just $220. He goes, yep, just $220. And I go, okay. So I just put down $200 plus the $220. I'll get the $200 back when I hand it in. He goes, yep. I go, oh, okay. I guess I'll do that. The money that I thought I mean that's I saw the money that so it looks like I'm gonna save $100 because originally it was $330. Now it's $220. They said, and so I figured the $100 I save, well, I'm gonna lose that in driving in the gas. So I go, okay, well, I think it'll be a good payoff. Well, fast forward, and I'll get back to the day, is I realized is that it was $200 on to the $330. Okay, so I ended up paying over $500 for the car. Now they didn't do a very good job of explaining that. I'm not sure if they do that on purpose or if they did it without thinking. Okay, but didn't matter. I guess I would have paid it anyways because we needed to get out of there. So uh, before I left, I asked the fella. I go, all right, got any good ideas where to go? Why we're here? And he goes, well, the good place to go is this place called Old Town, and it's really neat during the day, and yeah, you could go there. And they told me go to Gaslight Alley. I guess that's a pretty fancy place. And there's Tibbles. There's Tibbles. He's talking. And what do you got to say? Add there, Tibbles. Okay. And so we get all right, so I hear Old Town, and I go, oh, thanks. And we get into the car. We go to the car, get it, and drive up, and it's a white Toyota 4Runner. I happen to have a watch from Garmin that's also a 4Runner, called a 4Runner, and that's a little bit of a problem because when I try to hook up with the wireless, the Bluetooth on the car, I went to my phone and went to the Bluetooth, and I looked for 4Runner, and I have two 4Runners from my watch, and I click on those, not thinking of 4Runner for the Toyotas. So I finally figured that out, and we got hooked up with it. And that was it was kind of useless. The only time I used it was for a couple phone calls, and on the whole trip, so I really didn't need it. And also you can hook up your phone for navigation onto the little screen it has there, and that's you had to download the Toyota app and work through that. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, but most time it did, especially on most of the trip. So I had reserved a room in La Jolla, which is about 10 or 15 miles north of San Diego. And I picked out La Jolla because when I went for an interview in San Diego in 1991, I had an interview out there in San Diego at La Jolla, and I had a hotel, and I just really, really was impressed with that little town, and it was pretty cool. And so I thought I would like to go back, and I thought it was a little bit out of the way and I wouldn't have to fight with traffic, and so I got a room there. And so we drove to La Jolla, and it's a nice little town on the coast. It's not very big. We start noticing very, very expensive cars driving around, and so you realize that you must probably have to have money to live here. So the room was not all that expensive. I think it was around $100, and so we went to the hotel, and it was called Inn by the Sea, and it was about 2 blocks off the coast, and so we got there, and again, I look at the time for reservation. It says 4, and we get there at 1. And I go, geez. Usually people let us go in early. All right. So I went up to the counter and I asked the lady. I said, "Can we get in early?" And she said, "Sure, no problem." And we got in at 1 o'clock. So I think it was like second floor, nice little room, 2 beds, and we were tired. I think we took a little bit of a snooze, like an hour or something, and then after that we took a little walk down the beach, which was about 2 or 3 blocks, and there were seals up on the beach. I guess it was their nappy time. They're on the beach. One guy we walked down the stairs, and one guy's just sitting there all by himself, just flat out on the beach, and looked like he was dead, but I think he was just asleep. He's pretty big, about 7 feet. And not bothering anybody. People were just walking by them, and we walked down the beach and we walked around, and it was nice. It was overcast. It was a little bit wavy, but waves wasn't too rough. Not there. I think there were some surfers out there, but nothing eventful. It was nice though. I mean, even though it's overcast, the temperature's about 65, which we thought would be warmer. But it's nice, okay? It's a change of pace from what we had in Michigan and Ohio. And then we came back, and on the way we decided to go to Goodwill. And Quinn didn't want to go to Goodwill because he thought they might have some cool clothes, and went in there and he bought a couple, I think a couple shorts and a nice shirt for, I think, like $15 altogether. And then we walked back, and from what I remember, we took a little of a rest again, and then we talked about dinner. And dinner is always like one of the things that we focus on as part of our trip. Normally what we do is that some mornings we have breakfast, sometimes we don't. We may have a little lunch, but we always kind of focused on a dinner. And so for that night, and Quinn said, let's experience a little bit, since we're going to be out here. There's probably some really good Mexican food, and I want to go, maybe some Japanese restaurants. And so I go, well, this fellow told me that Old Town's a pretty cool place. Why don't we look that up? And so we got on our phones and we looked up Old Town, and there was this restaurant called Coyote Cafe, or Cafe Coyote, and it was ranked number one in the area, Mexican restaurant in the area for, I don't know, at least a year, maybe two. And I go, oh, let's go there. And so we went to Old Town, and it was kind of hard to find a parking spot. It would say basically a one street it was one main street, maybe like 3 blocks. It wasn't very residential, maybe a few houses on the side. It was nice. It wasn't, it was sort of away from everything. And it was a little bit hard finding a parking spot, but I eventually did, about 2 blocks, 3 blocks from the restaurant. And so we parked there, then we drove, walked to the cafe. We got to the cafe, and it's all open. There's all the seating appears to be, almost all of it tends to be on the outside. And that's because it doesn't rain in San Diego a whole lot. Okay, so they don't have to worry about this. So we come in, and they said, okay, how many are there? We said 2. Said, you sit here. They go, yep. And then it was kind of cool, as they said, here, scan this QR code and you'll get the menu. We go, oh, okay. So they don't have to give us one. So they put us to a seat, and we go sit down, and we look at the menu on our phones, and first thing we notice is that it's split up into 3 sections. The top section is a list of about 30 different kinds of tequilas, and then in the middle is the food, and then at the bottom is like a choice of about 80 different kinds of tequila. Okay, and Quinn says, can I have a margarita? I go, sure, go ahead, have at it. And then I can't remember what kind he got, but he liked it. And I thought to myself, let's do it up, and let's get a couple shots of tequila. All right. And so the waitress comes over, and I'm looking at them, and they go from anywhere from $10 a shot, it's up to $85 a shot. And I go, well, I don't want to spend $85. And I told the waitress, I go, what do you think? And she gave me a couple suggestions, and they were about $15. And I go, hell, let's just get a couple shots of tequila, and we got it. Both got our shots, and we gave a toast to the beginning of the trip. Clang, clang. All right, so next thing, so dinner came. We both ordered kinds of tacos, and the tacos were really, really good. Hard to describe. They were like soft tacos. I think I had like California taco, and I forgot what kind Quinn had, but they were really good. Crispy kind of shells. It looks like they fried them a little bit, and then, but they were really good. We ate those, and then that was a good ending of the day. Good food is a good way to end the day. We got done. Then we took a little walk, and looks like Old Town is like a little visitor town that sort of represents how the town looked like a couple hundred years ago when San Diego was first established. And it was closed at night, but it was cool just to walk around it, and nice to walk around and walk our food into our bodies in a sense. And then we got in the car, and then we drove back to the hotel. And there it is. There's day one. I mean, it's like 9:00, 9:30, and it's gonna be like this for the rest of the trip, where we have a little bit jet lag already. Our bodies start thinking it's like 12:30, and so we get to bed early, like 9 or 9:30. But turns out, even when we're maybe getting more adapted, we still go to bed early, like 9:00. Okay, there's day one. How about that? We're in California, San Diego. What's going to be tomorrow? Well, let's wait and see.